Welcome to the squad. I'm Puma, he's Ice Water. Do us a solid. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We're going to get started. We're going to be talking about college football. We're going to be talking about college basketball that's kicking off. Also the NBA and the NBA. But we're going to start off with a recap of the World Series. And I have to say, the World Series, Ice, was wow. Wow, 7 games. And it kept you on the edge of your seat every particular game. But there were some key plays with Roberts, who was substituting late in the games, and the substitutes made the big plays. And when I kept saying the LA Dodgers are loaded, they are loaded. They can go to their bench and still come up with winning baseball. And like the last 2 games, Game 6 and Game 7, just substituting. But Yokomato, wow. Wow. He said that during the Milwaukee series where he went up with the translator and said, look, if you need me to pitch again, I know I pitched last night, but you need me to pitch again, I'm ready. And he did the same thing here in Game 7, like, I'm ready. It seemed like he was losing control a little bit, but he was pulling it together and got that grounder. And I know Mookie was nervous doing that double play, but wow. And I was telling Pop yesterday, Toronto was inches away with the play at home plate, inches away from ending that game. And you could just see it on their faces. They were so close, but yet so far. Your thoughts on the World Series, man? Great World Series, I have to say. Congratulations to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I haven't watched baseball like that in a long time. You remember that in one game that went so many innings, I text you,
18.
say, did you watch the game? You go, I watched the whole thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like,
yeah.
the hell are
I'm
you
tired.
doing?
I couldn't stop watching it. I had to
Oh,
find out
man.
who was going to win
I
the
caught
game.
I caught it at the end. I think I was still up. And then I looked on the looked at my computer. I said, the game is still on. So of course I cut it on, and it was amazing with the home run by Freddie Freeman. And when you mentioned about the MVP with the pitcher, has 95 pitches as a starter, then he comes back and makes the last 8 outs. That's tough enough pitching. Think about MVP. When have we really seen a pitcher come back like that and been dominating in today's game of baseball? It was amazing the way it was done. And like you said, I don't know if the manager for the Dodgers got lucky or what. Miguel Rojas, right? Hits the home run in the ninth inning. Then comes back and does that crazy play at second base where he starts stumbling and throws a strike to home plate to save their World Series. And I said this earlier about them being loaded, and I've always joked about them spending the money. I think the reason why they won, and I will say this, I think that Toronto is one hell of a team. I didn't know they had so many holdovers over there, so many older guys from Scherzer and everything. I was like, look at this team. This whole team is full of all this guys from yesteryear, or it seemed like that way. They wouldn't got everybody off the heap, but they played real well. But I think the reason why the Dodgers won, one is because they spent money for quality players, right? As far as veterans is concerned, but also too, just the factor that all that talent, those guys are ready for anything. And I think that their championship caliber of being there before and playing on that level, from Freddie Freeman on to all of these other guys, it just that mystique took over. Because I think anybody else, any other team, Toronto would have beat them.
Yeah, and Big Papi said it the best. David Ortiz said it at the post game. He said, talent wins over emotion. Toronto was very emotional, but the talent of the Dodgers just really just came shining through every time they needed. Every time they needed a play in this series, at least for 4 games, they got to play. And they would not be denied. You could just see it. They were going to extra innings in the pitching, what they were trying to do. I thought they slipped up when they put in Kershaw. I thought they slipped up, and I thought, he was going to give it up, but that was his last hurrah. And it was just fitting to see, him help his team. I guess the bases were loaded, and he helped his team get out of a crunch, and that's all they needed him for. And, it was like storybook Hollywood, man. Like, okay, how can they lose this series with stuff like that happening?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But I think when you mentioned about Poppy mentioned about talent, I want to say marquee talent because there's a lot of teams that go out and spend money, but those guys don't make the plays. They fall short. I mean, I hear you all the time talking about the Yankees and what they should be doing and whatnot, but I want to say marquee talent because you can be talented all you want to. You just think about from the standpoint of Otani when they had him pitch late and when he started that last game and he was getting rocked, right, a little bit, and he had to come out. But I think that was because a lot of it was he hasn't pitched all really regularly all year. And now you try to put him in that position. Most other teams he would have dominated because he's that good. But again, the way that Toronto was playing, you had to come with it. So I say marquee talent that performs is what allowed the Dodgers to win. Because you guys can have guys that go, well, he's looking good, but he doesn't do this and that. But their talent rose to the occasion and will not be denied.
Yeah. I'm going to hold off saying three-peat because there are a lot of other talented baseball teams out there. You got Toronto. I expect them to come back and come back very strong. You got San Diego. You got Philadelphia. We'll see what the Yankees do. I don't know what they're going to do. They do need some players. They do need to shake that team up and get some dogs on that team. I don't know what the Mets are going to do. There are players who are jumping ship with the Mets already. And Detroit, don't forget about Detroit. Detroit had a hell of a season last season and could have very well been in the World Series, but they just ran out of gas, didn't have enough in the tank towards the end of the season. And don't forget Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a great team that could be in the playoff and the World Series mix next year. So I'm going to hold off on saying three-peat. I remember last year saying Dodgers is there to lose. I think they're talented enough to get there. I don't know if they can win it. Teams will catch up. Your thoughts, man?
No, I agree with that 100%. Plus, two is so they just won. So I don't know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen in the offseason. You never know either what's going to happen injury wise. I think one of the teams that I would throw in that bubble that you mentioned with those possible teams that could make a long run next year, I was very impressed with Seattle.
Yeah,
Very impressed with Seattle. And I think it would have been any other team besides Toronto, Seattle might have been in the World Series.
yeah.
Seriously, but Toronto was just ready. They were focused and they just played strongly as a unit. So yeah, I would throw Seattle in there as well.
All right, let's go to college football. You got Ohio State still holding on to number one. They got past Penn State, followed by Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. There were some upsets last week. We'll talk a little bit about those. Ranked number 6, Oregon, 7, Ole Miss. BYU is ranked number 8, followed by Texas Tech, Notre Dame number 10, Oklahoma number 11, and Virginia number 12. Texas moving right on up. They're trying to get in that playoff spot. They're at 13. They smacked Vanderbilt real good. Vanderbilt is down to 15. Louisville is holding on in the ACC at the number 14 spot, and Georgia Tech got upset. Utah's at number 17. Miami got upset again at number 18, followed by Missouri and USC, who's holding on to that number 20 spot. What are some of the games that stood out to you last Saturday in college football?
The way that Georgia Tech lost, I was really surprised by that. I was surprised at the way they lost because of what they had been doing all year. They've been moving the football, making some things happen. I was really surprised by that. I thought they would rise to the occasion and step up. They did not. SMU over Miami.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Oh, wow. I'm just looking at this like, what are y'all doing? You spent all this money, you had all this fanfare going on with you early on, and then you end up losing that game. One other one I want to throw out there
I didn't
would
expect
be
Utah to smack Cincinnati that hard. You said it last week. Watch out for this game. But I didn't expect Utah to just, jump down the throat of Cincinnati like that.
yeah, I think it's the reason why I said that before. I think that it's hard. I like Cincinnati. We're from Ohio, right? But I think that when you play real well, you have to go on the road, and you're not used to playing in big games like that with Cincinnati, it's hard. It's real hard. And the thing is, I think the problem for them was they got behind early. Before you could turn around, they were down 14, and then it turned to 21. And after a while, it's hard to come back with all that crowd noise if you're not been in that position before. So I think that was the main thing why I said that. I mentioned that if they were to fall behind, it'd be very difficult for them to come back.
And Florida almost got Georgia. I mean, they almost got Georgia. A few plays here and there, Georgia would have been going down to Florida. And I kind of sense that Florida is going to play them tough. It seems like Georgia is not that team that will just run away and just beat you by a lot of points these days. Teams are figuring out what they're doing and keying up on some of their best players. And Florida almost snuck them and almost knocked them out the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that too. And I think the other thing that caught me off guard was the factor that the way that Houston lost to West Virginia.
Mm.
West Virginia rose up and beat them at Houston. But you never know. That's why I said you have to be very careful with these teams lately because of the factor that the teams that have nothing to lose, they step up to the plate. That's late in the season. They're excited. They want the fans to be excited. Perhaps a team that's supposed to be better, higher ranked, they're excited about trying to make the playoffs. This other team, the opponent, is like, what? We have nothing to lose. And if we win this, they're gonna they're gonna run on our students are gonna run onto the field. It's gonna be like we won the national championship. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to play for there. There's a lot of things at stake to play for.
Some big games coming up this week. You have Alabama and LSU. You have Texas A&M and Missouri. This would have been a good game if Penn State would have kind of held serve on a lot of games this year. Indiana, number 2 against Penn State. We'll see how that one goes. We have BYU. I want to see this game. BYU and Texas Tech. I want to see if BYU has they're a little light to me. They're a little light team. They're fast and they play finesse. But against that Texas Tech team, let's see what they do. What are some of the games you're looking forward to seeing, man?
Maybe a trap game. I'm not sure. It depends on what team shows up. I'm thinking about Oregon versus Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
For Oregon to have to go on the road to face Iowa is going to be very interesting from that standpoint. Florida and Kentucky, even though it's probably over for Florida, Kentucky has a way of stepping up and whatnot too. The other game that I would say that I'm going to be looking at is I know all that has happened and it's everybody's looking at it like it's over, but LSU versus Alabama. LSU, before their losses, they were going along fine. Everybody was talking about them. The defense showed up. This could be the type of game where they could rise to the occasion. Because people talk about coaches. I know the coach got fired. They also fired the AD. But to me, it was the players that was making this team really good. And maybe collectively they come together, especially against Bama. That's why I had told Windhawk, I said, look, I was surprised, I think I told you this too, that they would fire the coach right before the Bama game.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, let them play this. Let them get fired up. And even if they lost these games, you want them fired up against in a rivalry like this. You want them fired up against Bama. So now it appears like they might have to do it on their own or do it with the interim coach. But I was blown away why you would fire the coach and the AD right before one of the biggest games of the season.
It must have been very bad, and there's some reports out that what happened behind the scenes, but it must have been really so bad that they were like, you know what, we can't go another day with this coach. And you hear a lot of stories about the horrible person he is. I've been mentioning it for years about what he was doing in Notre Dame. I don't know what he did in prior coaching assignments, but I'm really close to Notre Dame, and some of the people who root for Notre Dame here in Chicago used to go up to the games on the weekends and and around the crowd and watching some of the games, and you just get a sense that a lot of that stuff that he was bringing from Notre Dame just filtered right into LSU, and folks realized who he really was and were like, you know what, we can't go another day. I agree with you about firing him before the Alabama game, but it must have been something so bad that they said, you know what, we got to get rid of this guy right now. We cannot let him roam around the halls and represent those colors and represent this university.
Wow. Yeah, it must have been because I'm blown away. Like, this is the game there, even if nothing else, just think about the opportunity to destroy Alabama's hopes of going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're the team that adds that extra loss to them or put them in a position that they don't want to be in. So that's, if nothing else, that's a lot to play for those guys.
Right. Now, the holiday season is coming up. We're in November. We just got past Halloween. And once we get past Halloween, it is college basketball season. Now, we haven't watched any of the games, but we're looking at the ranking. I'm trying to figure out how Purdue is ranked number one, and Houston is ranked number two. So they're 1 and 2 right now. Florida is ranked number three, followed by UConn. St. John's is ranked number five. Duke is ranked number six, and they got a loaded team with a lot of freshmen coming in and folks coming in with NIL. And you got Michigan number seven, BYU number eight, Kentucky number nine, Texas Tech is number 10, Louisville number 11. Not going to go through the whole list, but some of the folks that we expect to be in the top five, like a Kansas, they're ranked number 19. Like a Tennessee, they're ranked number 18. You got Illinois ranked number 17. North Carolina is ranked number 25. Didn't expect them to be high on the list because they're not bringing too many people back. But Auburn's ranked number 21. Michigan State's 22. Gonzaga's 21. So I'm expecting a kind of like a flip flop during the season once the preseason tournaments start before they get to conferences. And this is like our favorite time of the year, watching college basketball. I know we're going to get rid of this show really quickly because there's some games on right now. What's your thoughts about the upcoming college season, man?
Yeah, I think the funny thing about this is these early rankings, like I told you, this reminds me of the rankings for college football.
Yes.
Everybody has the number one. You think like Texas was number one in football, right? And we saw what has happened transpired with them so far. I'm also just trying to figure out who's going to be making moves and who's going to be a better team. So I understand why Purdue is number one right now. You have the player of the year candidate at the guard for Purdue. So we're really excited about that. Houston is number two based on what Houston did last year. But also Houston has a few major players coming back and they have a hell of a recruiting class. So I know why they're right there. Florida loaded again.
Yeah.
They have some guys that were supposed to go in the draft, decided to come back.
Right.
They also have a marquee class coming in. So some people were saying there's a chance that they think they might repeat. I don't know about that, but I see why they're right there. And you could never count out UConn.
No.
You could never count. As long as Hurley's over there turning some things around, you can never discount them. One team I am surprised about it, but I know why they're doing it. Because the media loves this, and they're so desperate for this to something to be connected to the old school. I'm talking about St. John's.
Yeah,
okay? St. John's is very talented, but everybody wants Rick Pitino to be on the top and win a national champ. Okay, that's great, but he don't play. He doesn't play, so we will see what happens there. I do like Duke. Think about the Boozer twins. They have a lot of people coming in, and they are loaded. So be excited to see them. A team I talked about last year, and I think they reloaded too. That team up north, as we say in Ohio, Michigan is really going to be loaded.
Yeah.
It hurts my heart every time I see that coach, but that's for another reason. They are loaded.
Well, you wanted him at Ohio State.
Yes! He should have. Anyway, I'm about to get in trouble for that because I know somebody's going to be watching. Nothing against Mr. Diebler. I think Diebler is solid. I understand the family tradition in Ohio. But I thought if you wanted to make that move to the next level, you had to go get May from Florida Atlantic, who came in. I think Ohio State was perfect for that, but they chose to do something else, which you got to live with your decisions. But I just don't want to see, it'll break my heart if I see that team up north get one of them trophies, man, and knowing that man could have been in Columbus.
Well, I hate them for getting the Big Ten championship and the national championship.
No, you can have the Big Ten, the national championship with Christ. If you win the Big Ten, okay, great. But knowing that it's been a long time since Jerry Lucas, right? We've been waiting a long time. Bobby Knight, Jerry Lucas, John Havlicek, and we've been waiting since the 60s to really make a move. I mean, no disrespect to the Clark Kellogg's of the world, Kelvin Ramsey's. I go through it. Michael Redd, Scooty Paynes, we can go all the way through it, right? But to know that this man can put you in a position. The one thing I'll say I like about him is the way that he's able to recruit, the flair of bringing in like he did last year, major talent as far as marquee transfers. Right. You had a 7-foot point guard. You had a lot of guys that came in this year. So he's very likable and they like the way that he plays. I think the only reason why I mentioned about him being there instead of Diebler is a good coach. I like him. But I think that May had more experience on a higher level. I think maybe in a couple of years, Diebler might be right there. But now you're asking them to step up at a program and change it around just because he was a pretty good interim coach and got them through the rest of the season when they got rid of their coach, the other prior coach. Yeah, it's great. But now we're on a brand new scale. You need some top-notch players to play on that next level, and you got to need to be able to coach him. And I just think he needs a little bit more time when now you could have just automatically had somebody that had that more experience and was ready to move forward quickly. And that's why you see Michigan at 7 right now. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They're gonna throw me out of Columbus. But I just it just turns my stomach when I think about it. But good luck, Ohio State. Good luck.
I know you're safe in Columbus. You're safe in Columbus. Let's go to the NBA. I had a chance to watch my Knicks beat the Bulls. I was trying to figure out who played for the Bulls, and they don't have that great marquee player to kind of push them over the edge and kind of compete, even though they started out hot in the standings. And let's go through the Eastern Conference standings. You got the 76ers who are playing pretty hot. They're 5-1 right now, followed by the Bulls, the Bucks, the Pistons, and the Cavaliers at number 5. In the Western Conference, you have the Thunder, the Spurs, the Lakers, Trailblazers, and the Clippers at the number 5 spot. I'm going to go 5 on each side. The season's still young. I usually wait until about 10 games in the season or even 20 games into the season to see who's who and who's going to kind of take over in their respective divisions. What are you seeing in the NBA? Because what I saw the Knicks last night is like they still need time to gel. They got some new players on the team. They still need time to gel. And of course, JB is doing JB things. And we'll see what the new coach does that over there. Coach Mike, he's doing a decent job. They're about 500 right now. They were ranked number 5 for power teams when we reported last week. But they got to get used to him the way I was seeing it last night. Even though they won big against Chicago, Chicago's not really a strong team. But they got to get used to him, and he has to get used to who he has on the team and the talent he has on the team.
Yeah, look, let's stay in the East. I think you're right there. I think Mike Brown plays a certain kind of style, runs a certain kind of style regards, particularly on the defensive end, and they're got to get used to that because you had to play defense for Mike Brown.
Yeah, definitely.
So the Knicks in the past few seasons have been run up and down the court. Even though you had Tibbs over there, they really were just like, let's run and shoot, and we'll worry about defensive later. Maybe because he wanted to keep his job for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But Mike Brown, you got to play defense.
That was a major emphasis last night. You could tell that the night before, they didn't really play good defense. But last night, I mean, they were anybody came through the lane was getting their ball batted. it was kind of sad.
Yeah, well, but when that standpoint, that is what's going to help the Knicks move on and be able to progress and advance in the series in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Because we know they can shoot. We know they got nice guard play. They got nice big man play with Big Cat. But you have to be able to stop somebody. Right? After a while, you just can't go off of jumpers and running, fast breaking, and hope that's going to be enough. You're going to need to get some quality stops. And I think Mike Brown helps with that point there. And I think that's something where you might want to see what's going on with Cleveland. Why somebody like the Knicks can beat Cleveland because with the Mike Brown factor playing defense. So that goes a long way. I do like Detroit. I just like they're young. They get up and down. They're very physical. I'm not sure when it gets down to it in the postseason if they're going to have the ability to hang on. I think some teams are just going to be a little bit better. As you mentioned, the Knicks are going to be doing well. I think we're going to see a shift, as we always do. You see these teams up early, and then the cream starts to rise to the top, if you will. I like Philadelphia. I like VJ Edgecombe. Amazing talent. Might be rookie of the year. I'm just excited watching his highlights more than anything. So it's real wide open. Atlanta's like number 9 right now. I think they will rise because I like some of the changes that they made. They just had to get used to one another, which is great too. In the West, Oklahoma City is looking strong as heck, bro. They are just woo. They're just looking like we could run this back, could win again, but we don't know. San Antonio is really playing hard with Wemby. Young players looking really remarkable. I like the way that they're playing. And everybody is loving the Lakers. And one guy dropped 51 night for it. I don't think they can sustain it.
I don't think so either.
That's just my person.
Yeah.
That's me. So I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be a Charles Downer. I'm gonna let you think what you want to. I think in the end it's gonna kind of crash and burn. Even Portland, right? Despite the coach having issues and whatnot, they're talented. They play real hard. They're young. They're making noise in there as well. I think it's going to be a matter of time before we see Denver rise up as well. Denver looks real loaded, look refreshed in that instance. So I'm liking that too. People are talking about, oh, we don't know about Golden State. I just think it's going to be time that you just have to wait and see what happens from that standpoint. And I think Houston is finally understanding. I think I watched the game the other night. Durant had like 26 or 31, and Sengun struggled, but he had like 10 assists, right? And you had Thompson that had 7 assists. Sometimes you just need to get the hell out the way and let this man work. You playing with a Hall of Famer, recognize you playing with, I said this in one of the earlier shows, recognize who you're standing next to. If you want to win, recognize who you're standing next to. So I like that too. I think Golden State's going to be all right too. But you got to let my man Trey Jackson Davis play, man. Gotta let him play. I mean, I understand you got a lot of people by picking up Horford, but the kid can play. And Kaminga is, woof.
Yeah, Kaminga's a truth.
Yeah, they're playing strong, so I think they're going to be fine, but it's still wide open. It's still a wide open race right now, but I'm excited because it's back. And, I love basketball. We just hope that we get a lot more closer races and we see not so much load management and all other crap, but people don't want to play because whatever. But yeah, fans deserve better.
One thing that surprised me is the Pelicans are 0-6 right now. That surprised me. Something that didn't surprise me, but kind of did, Ja Morant and Memphis. And it seemed like you would think that, okay, you got out of trouble, you're in the clear now, you'd want to make up for lost time, but it seems like he can't stay out of trouble.
Yeah, but I hear that about the trouble, but the question I want to know, what did he do? And they're saying it is his conduct is unconducive to the team and whatnot, the chemistry and whatnot. But if it's a bad fit, I mean, it's a bad fit, and do something about it. Move on. I know that's a lot because it's John Morant, and when he's on, he's one of the best players in the league. But consistently, he's been hurt. There's been a lot of issues going on, and they made changes in their front office and the head coaches and whatnot. What are you gonna do?
They traded some players. I mean, they traded some key players.
Yeah, you got rid of Bain.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on. So what are you gonna do? You got players hurt. You got the big fella from Purdue not playing right now. You have to make a decision. And if his attitude is you have to ask them why I'm not playing or why they didn't play me so many minutes, you need to figure that out. If you can't get on the same page, and I know this is a big thing, you know how much you can receive for John Morant right now?
Yeah.
You can get a lot from certain teams. You chose the right team to send him to. You get a lot of, I'm not even talking about the draft picks. I want some people that can play right now, some difference makers. I would be looking at that, like somebody like Philadelphia that might be willing to make a move. The Clippers definitely would make a move.
You think so?
And they would make, I think they would, there's some people over there, some young people that they would probably give up. And I'd be looking at that roster hard. I think it's some folks over there too. And who knows? You can try it. They might say no, leave you alone. The way it's going on right now, even the Dallas Mavericks. I'd just be punching. I would throw that out. I would throw him out there to see who show interest, right? There are some teams out there that are decent that will probably give you a king's ransom for that if you're smart.
Yeah.
But then again, if you give him up for a bunch, just some junk, that's on you. I think there's some quality teams that will want to rise up, and possibly will make a trade or something like that too. Even with somewhere like Cleveland, I'd be reaching out. I would let everybody know he's available. He can be mad if he want to, and I would see what comes my way. I would, because if you're gonna do it anyway, because if not, it doesn't seem like he wants either. Right now, he's like he doesn't want to be there. He's in trouble. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I will find out. If we can't come to a understanding collectively or be on the same page, you might as well get rid of him and start all over. Because right now, what are you doing? You're not progressing. You're not.
Yeah, and I can see Dallas because Anthony Street Clothes Davis is I mean he can't
Eh,
stay healthy, and maybe moving him. Maybe I don't know if Memphis will even want him at this particular point because he can't play a whole season. He's
eh,
always hurting, and it'll be interesting to see what
it
team
is.
put something together for him if that's the case. If Memphis wants to, make a deal.
Can I say one thing about Dallas?
Yeah.
And I know everybody talking about Anthony Davis, talking he might be thinking about getting traded. Jason Kidd, I said this before. Cooper Flag's not a point guard,
No.
bruh.
No.
So why are they struggling? Because you're trying to get somebody, you're trying to force him to run the point. He's a good player. He's young. He's 18 years old. Love or hate D'Angelo Russell, that's what you need. You need somebody that can run the point. And D'Angelo Russell's like, I'll do whatever they want me to do. Whenever you want me to be ready, I'm ready. But you can't sit up here and experiment, or you can, and expect to have quality results.
Or expect to have a job if it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll probably let him run for a minute. He might run this season, it doesn't work. And maybe the GM will start saying, well, you start scratching his head. Well, maybe I better do something quick so I can keep my job. But
Right.
the Cooper Flag thing at point guard, starting out the season, is not the answer. It's too much to ask of him right now, and you're not going to get out of him what you need. He should not have to carry this team, and that's what they're trying to make it like it's like he is. He does not need to carry this team.
Yeah, because that's one of the weaknesses I saw him have at Duke, his handles, especially in the paint. He cannot handle the ball down there, especially when they get inside the paint. There are too many hands there that steal the ball, and they stole the ball from him a lot last season. Him trying to handle and do that spin move. You can't get away with that in the NBA. They're going to figure that out if they haven't figured it out already. NFL, man, I was listening to Chase after the game, and he said one stop, man. And they spent all that, Cincinnati spent all that money on offense and don't have a defense to show up for yesterday. I saw the game and I'm thinking, okay, the Bengals got this game. 42 points should be enough. But when you can't stop the Chicago Bears, it's really bad on defense, man. That's one of the games that really kind of stood out to me. Packers, they mature one week, go right back to the same thing the next week. The Panthers should not have beat them in Lambeau. And the Steelers came up and surprised the Indianapolis Colts. Your thoughts?
Let me start right there. Man, I cannot stand Pittsburgh. You just never know who's going to show up. I thought Indianapolis would show up. They did not. Again, when Pittsburgh's defense comes alive, they're allowed to keep them in games, right? In games that they can win because they keep it close. But you never know what Pittsburgh defense is going to show up. They don't have to be fabulous on offense because the defense is really tough with Watt leading the charge, and they can slow down top-notch quality offenses. I think they held Taylor to like 57 yards, and he'd been running crazy throughout the season. Vikings over the Lions. I don't know what's going on with the Lions. I know McCarthy came back. They tried to do some other things, but the Lions are Jekyll and Hyde as well. I don't know what's going on and why they don't rise up to the occasion. I'm kind of mystified by that. They were talking about they're using Jameson. The coach said he's using Jameson Williams the wrong way, and he's not getting enough touches, but yet your team is still struggling against a team in the Minnesota that just got their young quarterback back. And there's a lot of things going on there, so I don't understand that. But I will have to say, if there was a bright, as you mentioned, with Cincinnati, they brought Al Golden back over to try to help with the defense. You got to start getting in people's faces. You got to start finding people when they stop missing tackles. I'm serious.
Yeah,
It's just what it is.
I totally
At this
agree. I
point,
totally agree.
you have got to just go, look, you're not working. You're not working anyway, so let's bring the other dude in. Okay, he's a rookie. Let's see what he can do. Because this is a travesty. They held out hope that possibly Joe Burrow, they could be in a good position where Joe Burrow could come back around Christmas time, before Christmas. Why would you want him to come back now? You cannot take anything from Joe Flacco. Flacco's doing the best he can, and despite an offensive line that's not blocking anybody. So there's a lot of things, but they've been right there when you score 40-some points and 39 points, almost 40 points a damn game, and you still losing, come on, man.
Yeah, and that I mean, we said it in our group chat squad with our NFL picks, and Baller mentioned this, and it was the same thing I was thinking. I know everybody else is thinking. Why you have Jalen Daniels in the game at that particular point of the Seattle game last night? I don't understand that. He's already hurt. He's not 100%, and you put him in there. And I know I kid around with the chunky soup curse, but it's like that field also is atrocious. A lot of players get hurt on that field. They haven't updated that field. I know they're getting ready to try to get a new stadium. They definitely need it. But why can't you do something with that field? Because so many players, not only with the Commanders, but around the league, have gotten hurt on that field. That field is not given. But I'm trying to figure out, why do you keep Jalen Daniels in a game that you can't win?
No, no. And when I read that earlier today, the factor that the score is what it was in the fourth quarter, and you still have him in the game, as a coach, I'm saying to myself, what are you trying to do? Is he doesn't need the money, right? He's already taken care of there. He doesn't need to work on stats. Even if he's trying to come off injury to feel better again, you can do that on the sideline. When the game was totally out of reach, why, as you mentioned, why is he in the game? So you technically kind of blame the coach in a way, looking side at him for even having him in the game at that time. And
Yeah.
now he gets hurt again, and then you want to go, well, I kind of second guess why I wondered what I should have, could have, would. Man, just get him out the damn game. You can't win. It's over. It's over.
It was over at halftime, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I put in, I keep a little chart, and I already circled the wins for everybody because everybody picked Seattle last night. I think it was like 28-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way
Yeah.
they're coming back 4 touchdowns at this particular point. And Daniels is not 100%. And, Samuels, I think he gets the ball. I can't remember him catching anything in the first half, but in the second half, you're starting to get the ball to him. And I'm like, it's pretty much over right now. Put your second string in, you know, try to preserve your starters and come back and fight the next week. Maybe he was afraid of getting attacked from the press in DC and that surrounding area. I don't know, but you got to take him out the game if it's an unwinnable game, especially if that is your franchise quarterback and he is coming off injury and he's not 100%. Why keep him in the game to risk him getting hurt? And this is what I always said about this particular coach. This coach that the Commanders have doesn't make really good decisions. He did it in the Super Bowl. We remember the Super Bowl when they're up, on New England Patriots, and then they just nosedive, and him not being able to sustain that lead, making bad decisions. And here it goes again. You cost your team. This is a team I picked to go to the Super Bowl. And the decisions he made all season is like, there's no way they're going to win the Super Bowl. No way they're even going to make the playoffs at this particular point. And this was the team that's supposed to be contending against the Philadelphia Eagles. And there's no way it's going to happen now.
I want the one last thing in there, one last game that I was forced to watch because of, I guess, my coverage and
It was
where I was at.
punishment.
Yeah, I live in the Midwest. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I don't understand this. This is a 4 o'clock game. They usually show us either 2 1 o'clock games or 2 4 o'clock games. This time we got 2 4 o'clock games. And for some reason or another, maybe because the Steelers played earlier or whatever, the Browns were off and the Bengals were playing early. The game we were forced to watch was the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, make that make sense for me. But it was okay. I watched the game. And I wanted to watch it in particular because I had selected Jacksonville among my picks. So I never really watched them unless they played the Browns or the Bengals, right? So I got a chance to watch them. I got a chance to watch Geno Smith. I got to watch this whole game. And I'm watching. I'm like, and then I started looking and I was like, wow, I thought the Raiders were going to win. And I'm like, well, Jacksonville finally raise up and win a game that matters. And they did. They did. I saw the quarterback step his game up a little bit. Running back ETN is trying to get some things done. Their defense is really coming alive. They look like they really were trying. But I also saw some bad football. I'm sitting there going like, is this why both of these teams are where they're at right now? So at that point, I just tuned in because I was worried about my own personal interests. which is for Jacksonville to win. And so at that point, game's very tight, coming down, we're in the overtime, in fact, coming down to it where each team gets a possession, right? Where the next team moves on. So Jacksonville scores their touchdown and they kick the extra point. Now you have the ball in the Raiders' hands. They drive down the field. They score. Okay, right? They decide they're going for two to win the game. And granted, if you think you're capable, okay, fine. But why wouldn't you fight for another day if you've been struggling all year long? Because what happens after the first overtime, the first team that scores wins, right? You got a coin flip, anything. But no, they decided to go for two. When I saw Geno Smith do this,
Yeah, I knew it was over. I knew it was over.
I said,
When I picked Las
woohoo!
Vegas, I knew it was over. I was like, okay, I got to eat this one because they're not gonna get this.
And then I saw that, and then I saw him drop back and try to make that pass. I was like, I got one. I got one. That was crazy.
Got one, coach. All right, man. What's on your mind, bro?
Oh man, a lot is on my mind, but what I want to talk about now is the factor that with us being in November in college football, getting real close to the nitty gritty, as we say, before we get to the conference championships, there are a number of teams that are in the top 20, maybe, that have some very significant games coming up in the next couple of weeks that really could decide whether or not they make the 12-team playoff of college football. And you go, oh, what are you talking about? And it may not be as significant to others, but I'm just going to throw them out there. Let's look at Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma has making some strides and have struggled as well. But here's what their schedule looks like. They play Alabama, Missouri, and LSU in the next 3 weeks. So then you go to Alabama. That's Oklahoma. Play Alabama, Missouri, and LSU, Oklahoma. Then you have Alabama. Their schedule includes LSU and Oklahoma in the next couple weeks. Texas A&M has been playing real well. A lot of people like them and whatnot. They face Missouri, South Carolina, and Texas in the next 3 weeks. Okay? Georgia Tech just took their first loss of the season. Now, in the next couple weeks, they will face Pittsburgh, and they also have to play Georgia. And last but not least, Texas, as much as everybody has put down Mr. Manning, some people are still cheering, and the media is still cheering to take that egg off their face by declaring them number one. So in order for them to show that they're the real deal still, they still have to face Georgia, and they still have to play Texas A&M. So I just threw a lot out at you. There's a lot going on. We're going to see a lot of shuffling. We're going to find out who's for real and who are the pretenders. So it's going to be interesting next 3 weeks to see how this plays out. But I love it because this is what it's all about as we get ready for the moving towards the postseason.
And I'm looking at the rankings now. They're going to figure out a way if Notre Dame doesn't lose, or if they lose, they're going to figure a way to keep them in there because they're independent. I remember you saying last week they're going to have 4 Big Ten, 4 SEC teams in, which leaves maybe 4 more teams to get in. I don't know if BYU makes it. They're ranked number 8 now. Don't know if they make it. It was another commentator. I think he said something like, hopefully I'm getting this right. James Madison, they're not even ranked, and he's like, they're going to be in it. And I'm like, or getting 2 teams. It's like, no, these are going to be some legit teams because they're not going to put some teams in there. And I think BYU has to play well to solidify their place in the playoffs at this particular time. If they lose, they make a misstep. If they look kind of bad, they're not going to be one of those 4 teams that make it in. They're even talking about Louisville making it in. I don't know. I don't know if Louisville can make it in. They're number 14 right now. Don't know if they can make it in. I don't know if Virginia can make it in. So it's going to, just like you said, a lot of things are going to be determined in the last 2 to 3 weeks on who's going to get what and who wins their conference also. But I can't see some of the smaller teams. I like to root for the little guys sometimes. But this year, nah, I don't see it. I don't see it this year. And the rankings are kind of proving that they're not letting those teams that, are coming out of nowhere, like the Pac-12 or the Big 12 and all that. They're not letting them get in if they don't have a good resume.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think the issue for Louisville is the fact that they had a bad loss.
Hmm.
I think they lost to a team things were not really in their favor. So, with that being said, you just have to look at it and go, what are we going to do? Who are we going to put where? And I think that's a major issue for them. So I think that's issue for Louisville and other teams that have had bad losses. And again, like we said before, with some of the teams with their schedules coming up, we're going to find out what they're made of. So I'm excited about it because we get to see some real deal Holyfield and see who's ready and who's not. So
Yeah.
again, like you say, a team like Oregon, I hope we get to the playoffs and you have like Oregon number 6 and the 11th seed will be Notre Dame. I would love to see that game. Oregon versus Notre Dame. Or if you had BYU as number 7 and Texas as number 10, I would love to see that matchup. If you're 8 and 9, Georgia Tech versus Ole Miss, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want the James Madison fans to jump on me because you did have a bad loss against Louisville. Louisville's ranked, and it was by 2 touchdowns. You're a good team. I don't think it's a playoff team. that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You had a good season, got one loss, and there are a number of multiple loss teams in the top 25. But I don't think if you're not ranked top 25, I don't see, I don't know where the guy came up with James Madison in his head. Maybe he knows some alumni there. Maybe I don't know what he was trying to do. But I'm like, they had a good season. They lost against a top 25 team. I don't see you making the playoffs losing, against Louisville.
Yeah. And I think that unfortunately for them, that's a bad loss, right?
Yeah.
That's a bad loss, even though Louisville beat Miami, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Beat him
Yeah,
convincingly.
yeah, yeah, they did, but still, you can't do that. And maybe he was confused because he thought the Indiana's coach was still at James Madison. So I don't know. Maybe he's confused or something. I don't know what it is. So we'll just have to see. Signetti is now Indiana. So yeah, I don't know, but hey, it's one of them things that if you say some people say stuff long enough, they start to believe it. Even though the rest of the world may think you crazy as hell. You're like, well, you know what? I really believe that. It's like, how does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to anybody else, but somebody believes it. They can share their opinion with others.
Last second shot, I'll go first. I was looking at a Terrence Crawford quote who said, Floyd Mayweather kind of ruined modern boxing, and he explained why. He said, because now that if a boxer loses a fight, then his career is over with. Just because you lose a fight doesn't mean that you are less than a good fighter or you can't come back. Some of the greatest fighters that ever lived lost a fight. Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, the list goes on and on and on. But he was saying, and I tend to agree with him, that even the public has kind of bought on this kind of notion that if you're an undefeated fighter and you lose a fight, you're no good to boxing anymore. You can't fight anymore. You can't be the best. You can't redeem yourself. And so that's my last second shot. Don't throw away the 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss fighters. Muhammad Ali, he lost about 5 fights, and he's still considered the greatest. He's still considered the greatest over an undefeated Floyd Mayweather Jr. And one of the things he mentioned is that this is why we don't have great boxing matches, because a lot of fighters who have that don't want to put it on the line, and they don't fight the best fighters. Your last
Excellent. Yeah, excellent point. It's not often that I do this, but I'm gonna do this anyway. I'm gonna counterpoint what you said on your last second shot. I don't think I've ever done that ever in the history of this show. But you know how much I love boxing. So I understand what Terrence Crawford would say that they feel like Floyd Mayweather ruined boxing. I disagree. It's not Floyd Mayweather's fault that he was undefeated and won and fought so many champions and beat them. Why the hell could it be his fault? When you are a boxer, you should aspire to be like Floyd to win as many titles as you can. But the problem is, for me, is the promoters
Mm.
and all some of these fighters that don't want to risk it, don't want to put it on the line. How can you call yourself great and you won't fight anybody? Look at Floyd Mayweather's record. All the way back in the day, he fought whoever would come. Granted, as he got older, they said he picked and chose. But again, like he said, why would I fight Pacquiao at that time? When I made him rich when I waited to fight him. You got to make dollars and they got to make sense. But these guys now, some of these boxers are acting like they're great, and you're not. Fight the damn fights, Devin Haney. We know what's going on from regards to Tank Davis. Tank Davis, I mean, it's more issues at home than it is anything else. But there are a number of fights out there that we need to see. Teofimo Lopez, back and forth. We need to see you fight Shakur Stevenson. You guys have been talking about it, saying you may fight in January. Let's get it in there. There's a lot of people that are, I'm not saying you ducking, but damn, let's fight somebody. And I'm going to go even deeper. Some guys, you guys may not even know what's going on. Boots Ennis. Come on, bruh. Virgil Ortiz. Let's see that fight. How long you got to wait? Well, I'm over here. I'm going to move up. I'm trying to clear this division out. You know what it is, bruh. And you wonder why Terrence Crawford go, why would I even waste time with you guys coming back down anymore? When I wanted, you had the opportunity to fight me, you didn't want to fight me. I was here. I was ready. Now I'm the guy. Now you want to fight me. I do agree with that. I'm going to even go deeper than this. The last point on this last second shot is you guys talk about boxing. Let's drop down to the bantamweights or to the point of 115, 118, 122. Everybody is talking about Ben Rodriguez. Amazing fighter, undefeated, young guy doing some great things. And now he's saying he's willing to step up his game. And they're talking about he's ranked up. I seen him ranked as high as number 5 on the pound for pound chart. How the hell can he be number 5 on the pound for pound chart when at 118, undefeated Nakatani from Japan is waiting on your ass? And you better than him? And above him at 122 is the monster. So before we start, whatever, and he finally said, oh, I'm interested in making that next fight. When you come step up to 118 to see Nakatani, who the monster really don't want to see either, or 122 to fight the monster, then we can start ranking people. But to say, oh, Floyd Mayweather messed it up. No, it's these boxers. Everybody trying to hold on to their O. And last but not least on this point is the fact that the damn fans are accepting this bull crap and accepting it. Stop watching this crap. Like Jake Paul, are y'all serious? I told y'all for the last time. You keep buying into it. Now Tank Davis can't fight because he got some legal issues. So he run around finding anybody that'll get in the ring for him. Dude, it's WWE. WWE is wrestling. It's fake. The dude's not a real fighter. Y'all can get mad at me, want to. If you come at me, he may never give me credentials. I'm okay with that. Can't y'all see this, bruh? When we used to watch boxing, this shit was real. That's like you comparing Jake Paul to Muhammad Ali. You can't say that shit in the same sentence unless he was fighting Superman or some bullshit like that. Come on, bruh. Wake up. Wake up, y'all.
Yeah.
If you want to watch that, just know that it's fake and everybody trying to get paid. Don't compare it. It is entertainment, not boxing. That's why Floyd Mayweather, when he retired, said, I am no longer a boxer. I am an entertainer. Know the difference. Quit listening to this stuff and accepting anything that they give you because you are the consumer and you don't have to put up with that bull crap. But then again, maybe I'm just some crotchety old man. Don't know what to keep talking about. I'm cool with that too. Much love to y'all.
That's our show. We'll see you next week.